Hey friends, it's Mel, and welcome back to my kitchen. Welcome back to another week's worth of dinners. I hope that you are seeing as many beautiful fall colors on your trees as we're seeing here in East Tennessee. God is showing off His handiwork right now here, and I hope you're getting to enjoy it. I hope you've ate real good this week, and if you're looking for something new to try, just sit back, relax, grab that sweet tea, and let me do the cooking. This week's video is very special. It's in collaboration with my friend Valerie from the Hargett Life. She does what's for dinners, grocery hauls. She also does wonderful desserts. She's one of the best dessert makers I've ever seen. She's all around sweet girl, and I have certainly enjoyed getting to know Valerie. I'll be leaving a link to her video and her channel down in the comments below. Be sure and check her out after you're finished watching here and let her know that Mel sent you. And if you're here from Valerie's channel, welcome to you. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I hope you'll stick around. So let's get into some dinners. This is a slider that I have seen on Pinterest by the Southern Lady Cooks. It's called the Best Ever Ham Sliders. I have never made them this way before. It's not that much different than how I do my ham sliders, but there's a little something different that goes on top, and it took them over the moon. I would highly recommend these. Of course, the first thing that you got to do is to cut your Hawaiian rolls in half and cut the tops off. I know I scare everyone to death when I pull out this big knife to cut my slider buns. And sorry, I scare myself too. But I think I did a pretty good job on them this week. This might be the best I've ever done cutting them on camera. Sometimes I will notice that my sliders will get a little too crispy on the bottom. So instead of cooking them on a baking sheet, I decided to put them down into a casserole dish this time, and it really did help. I just got about 3/4 of a pound of Virginia baked ham shaved out of the deli. I have done sliders with prepackaged deli meat too, but I just have to say by and far, I love using the deli meat. I spray the bottom of that pan, and I'm going to put the bottom of the sliders in there and then start building them. This one said to put a little mayonnaise on the bottom of your buns. I've never done that before, but y'all know I love mayonnaise, so I did not have a problem with that. My husband likes mayonnaise, but not as much as me, and I just wasn't so sure about it, so I went with the light hand. And then you can see that shaved Virginia baked ham. I did not even use all 3/4 of the pound that I bought. I'm coming back over the top of the ham with just shredded cheddar cheese. You can use cheese slices, whatever cheese you want. Some Swiss cheese would be good on this, or provolone, but I was just using everything I had. If you watch my grocery hauls, you know I have really been finding the cheese on sale, so I have lots of shredded cheese. Then you just come back over the top with the tops of the buns and place them back over. I melted a whole stick of butter. I did not really need that whole stick. I don't know why I did that. I always start with half a stick, so I would suggest that for you too. I did use a big tablespoonful of some Dijon mustard that I whisked into that melted butter. And I've never used Worcestershire sauce in my sliders before. I have seen these recipes where it calls for it, and I thought I needed to try that. And just whisk all that in to your butter. I think it said to mix the onion flakes, but I just don't like to do it that way. I like them to get a little crispy, so I didn't put them in my butter mixture. But you do come back over the top of the roast with that butter, just brushing it on very liberally. And I usually go around the sides a little bit with it too, just to make sure and get everything covered in that butter really nice. And it will pool over on the sides a little bit, and that's fine. That's why it's better in this casserole dish. It doesn't make your bottom of your buns get so crusty with that butter. And I'm just sprinkling my little dehydrated onion flakes right over the top. If you had poppy seeds, I like to put those on the top too, but I've not had any. Now, the brown sugar. The recipe said to sprinkle brown sugar over the top, and I thought, well, now that's different. I put it on there. This was so good. My husband, he said, I don't know what you did to these, but he said, what did you put in that topping? He said, that is so good. I'm just going to spray some aluminum foil and put over the top of them, bake them in the oven about 20 minutes. Check them, and then if I see the cheese looks like it's getting melted, then I'll pull the aluminum foil off and bake them another 5 or 10 minutes or so uncovered so that the tops can brown up. I will say the shredded cheese is hard to get it melted and gooey down inside of these buns, but you can see when they come out they are toasted and so pretty and so delicious. That brown sugar gives the best sweet flavor to this. I think this may be our new favorite sliders. Probably this, then that chicken bacon ranch that I showed not too long ago. I've made that a couple times recently. And then the old ham sliders that I make with yellow mustard. Guys, this was delicious. This was a quick, easy weeknight meal that we enjoyed. Now I'm going to start out on another night's meals, and I really focused on sides this night. I have been wanting to do these honey roasted sweet potatoes for quite a while. And as always, I will leave you links to all of these recipes down below in the description box. I think sometimes I forget to tell y'all that, but it's always there. So anyhow, I took 3 sweet potatoes and I have diced them up, trying to keep them all about the same size so they'll roast up evenly. Then in a saucepan, I took 2 tablespoons of butter, a teaspoon of olive oil, melt that down and stir it together. It said to add the juice from 1 lemon. I did not have a fresh lemon, so I used probably a little less than 1/4 cup of just lemon juice. Then you come in with 1/4 cup of honey. You're just going to cook that up, simmer it for just about a minute on top of the stove. You're not trying to get it real thick or anything like that. And there are my potatoes all diced up, and then you're just going to pour this mixture all over those potatoes and just stir them to coat them really well. Once I get them coated pretty good, I'm going to come in with some salt and pepper to season them up just a little bit and give them another stir. Going to spread them out on a full line baking sheet into a single layer. And I did spoon mine out with the slotted spoon. I wasn't sure if I needed all of that mixture on there with it, but I did decide at the last minute just to pour that little bit of butter and honey mixture over the top. And you put these in a 425 degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. Now after about 10 minutes I did look in on them and give them just a little stir because I had never used honey on them in the oven like that. Now let's move on to another side dish, and I have just probably a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of oil going, and I'm using a oven safe skillet here, and I've just got a little bit of asparagus that I had, and I've just broke the ends off, and then I've cut it up into thirds, and I'm just going to saute that up in this butter and oil. And I'm going to add in some frozen diced up onions, a little bit more than I meant to, but that's fine. Then I took what was left of a bag of frozen peas and carrots that I had. If I had had a little handful of corn or just any leftover veggies that you had, you could throw it in this. But I'm just going to saute all of that up in this butter and oil, and I'm going to add in a little of this minced up garlic I keep in the fridge, and I'm going to season it up with some salt and some pepper. Now I have made this before on my channel. This is the veggie mac and cheese. This time I'm using this refrigerated Bob Evans macaroni, and you just heat it up in the microwave. It is so easy. The last time I made this, I couldn't find this macaroni, so I made a box of the Cracker Barrel white cheddar and used it, and it was fine too. It was just an extra step. This little step right here made it extra quick and easy, and you're just gonna stir in that macaroni and cheese into your sauteed veggies, and I'm adding some crumbled up bacon pieces. Y'all know I buy that big bag at Sam's, and I use it in lots of recipes. You're just going to get all that incorporated really well. I'm going to cover it with some shredded mozzarella cheese. Now the recipe I link down below will have exact measurements, but just realize here I did half this recipe. Put a little bit more bacon on it, and then you're going to put it about 15-20 minutes in a 350-degree oven. You're just trying to get that cheese melted and get it baked up. Now when our potatoes come out, we tasted them. They tasted good, but my husband, I told you, he's a brown sugar addict. He made me put brown sugar on them. He said they needed it. He really missed it. So I sprinkled some brown sugar on them, and there's that veggie mac and cheese coming out. Look how pretty that is. And underneath that melted cheese, you can see that macaroni and all those wonderful veggies and bacon bits. I absolutely love this macaroni and cheese. I did make us just some old frozen chicken tenders to go with this. Like I said, this meal I was focusing on some sides. I love the side dishes. This meal was so delicious. It was so comforting and warm and cozy, and we had plenty of leftovers for another night this week. And the chicken I used was this from Aldi, and when I hauled this in a grocery haul, someone asked me about it, and I had never tried it until tonight. So this is what the bag looks like, and it was very good. It's similar to the Tyson. It is fully cooked, so you just have to make sure that it's thoroughly heated. Now we're going to do some taco meat here. I'm not going to show you this, but I did want to let you know I finally tried the Taco Bell seasoning, and it was good, but honestly, I didn't notice it being much different than what I normally use. So I'm making taco meat, and I'm heating up some refried beans. I usually throw in sour cream, but I had this little bitty wad of cream cheese because, you know, I put that in my mashed potatoes, and I just had this little bit left, so I put that in instead of sour cream tonight. And then I'll also put in either taco seasoning, or in tonight's case, I just used some of our taco sauce. And I just stir that in to the refried beans. It gives them a little extra creaminess and a little extra flavor. We hadn't had tacos or crunch wraps or anything nachos or taco related in a couple weeks, it seemed like. So I was really ready for something like this. And I thought my daughter would want something else, but she wanted a crunch wrap tonight too. So I made 3 different crunch wraps. Everybody likes something different, but they're very customizable. And I wouldn't be me if I didn't show off my new salad spinner again that I got at Aldi. I just wanted some lettuce shredded up on my crunch wrap, and in case I made a taco salad later, I like it shredded real thin. And if you don't have a salad spinner in your life, go for it. Like I have said before, I never knew how much I would enjoy this thing. Look at all the water that spun out of just that little bit of lettuce that I did. My lettuce is lasting so much longer. So now let's build us a crunch wrap. And you can take some cheese, and mine is not heated yet. It's just Frito brand that you see there. Then you take your taco meat. Then you put on a crispy tostada shell and spread sour cream, taco sauce. I put the refried beans inside my husband's, but this is mine I'm showing. I put lots and lots of lettuce, and I did not put the beans inside of mine because I wanted them on the side. I put some tomatoes and just a little more shredded cheese. And that is a big burrito size tortilla under this, if I didn't tell you that. And you know it is not going to cover completely, so I always take one tortilla and I just tear pieces off of it and put on the top of this. And then you just start folding the edges around. And when you put this in the skillet, it will seal up to that flour tortilla piece that's on the inside, and it'll just hold it all together. You just have to kind of keep it very carefully in your hand, and I put it the seam side down in my skillet first. Sometimes I'll put butter in my skillet. Tonight I had just used some spray. So there is the first side toasted up. Then I flipped it over and did the other side. Look how pretty this is when you cut into it. You have the flour tortilla, and then you got that crunch on the inside. And you've got your hot and your cold stuff kind of separated. We love these crunch wraps. They are so delicious. I'm sorry you've seen this a time or two on my channel, and you'll probably see it again if you want to know what we're having for dinner. Had some nachos kind of loaded up on the side over there. The only thing I was missing was green onions. So now I'm going to show you some potatoes that I did in the crock pot, and these were a cheesy bacon crock pot potato, I guess is what we would call this. And I just washed up 4 medium-sized potatoes. I scrubbed them really good because I do like to leave the skin on. Then I took really just about 1/4 of an onion, and I diced mine up pretty small just because that's how I like it with my potatoes. I am going to go ahead and spray my crock pot, even though I'm going to be lining it with aluminum foil. And you want to take a piece that is long enough that if you put it in the bottom of your crock pot and up over the sides, you would have enough left over to fold it over the top. And I did take another smaller piece and go up sort of the other sides of my crock pot. I just wanted to make like a little bowl in the bottom to help catch some of that mess. If you can kind of see there what I've done. And then evidently I have bought stock in the nonstick cooking spray because I am going to spray it again where the aluminum foil is. I just did not want my potatoes to get stuck to the foil. I wanted them to just be able to come out real easy. You're going to start layering. I'm starting with those bacon crumble pieces from Sam's. Then you're going to take about half of the onion you've cut up. Then you're going to layer in about half of the potatoes that you've cut up. I am going to season them up with some salt and pepper, and I do put some garlic powder. Then I toss them around just a little bit because I had a little bit more on that layer than I meant to, and I just wanted to try to get some of that seasoning off onto all the potatoes. Then you're going to dot it with some butter. And then you're just going to repeat all those layers again. Bacon, onion, potato, seasoning, and butter. And one more time, I'm spraying that top layer of aluminum foil that's going to be touching my potatoes, folding everything in, and you just put the lid on this and set it on low. I checked mine about 4 hours and they were looking good. You just come with some shredded cheese. I'm using cheddar. Use whatever you have. And put that over your potatoes, cover them back up, and I just let mine sit there while I made the rest of supper. I had some butter that I just heated up in my cast iron skillet, and I just had some plain old ground chuck meat that I just patted out into some hamburger steaks. I'd had a big 3-pound package of hamburger meat this week, and I just thought this sounded good, meat and potato meal. And I just keep the seasonings real simple on this. I just do some salt and pepper. Then I come back in with a little bit of Lowry seasoning salt. And then I'll drizzle just a little bit of Worcestershire sauce on each patty. I just let them fry up on one side in that cast iron skillet. Then I flip them over and I'll season up that second side. This was just a very simple meal, not a whole lot of cleanup to this one. I was home earlier to get those potatoes in, so I already had that all cleaned up. I had already made a salad this week, and this was such a good meal. There is that wonderful steak sauce that I'm just not able to find at Kroger's. This is the last of it that we have. But this is good plain. It's good if you like peppers and onions fried up in your skillet with it to put over the top. Steak sauce, ketchup, whatever you like on it. And there's those yummy potatoes. And I did put a little bit of ranch dressing on mine. Much later that same night, I remembered I had about 1 more pound of hamburger meat that needed something done with it. I just didn't want to freeze it just like that because I have plenty of hamburger meat in the freezer, just, ground beef. So I decided to throw a meatloaf together. This is just tomato sauce. I use some frozen diced up onions. I like to season it with Lowry seasoning salt. And I use oatmeal as the breading in it. I just like the way the oatmeal, the texture of it in here, better than crackers or bread or anything. And I use 1 egg to bind it. And you can see here, I'm making this inside of the big gallon-sized Ziploc bag that I had this meat in the refrigerator in. It was late when I remembered this, and I was bound and determined that I was not going to mess up another dish or mess up my kitchen that night. I wanted this done, but I didn't want to mess it up. So here I go, making meatloaf in a split open gallon-sized bag. So if seeing me make a meatloaf in a Ziploc bag is something that you'd be interested in, be sure and subscribe to my channel. I've got lots of good tricks like this. You can see it came together fine. It worked fine. The little egg, I just caught it right down there in the corner and got it all mixed in. Mixed all this little meatloaf together and patted it out. Now over to the side, you'll see this little aluminum pan. I buy those at the Dollar Tree. They're like little leftover containers that you would get at like Mexican restaurants with the little cardboard lid. I always buy these around Thanksgiving because we have a huge family and we all cook for Thanksgiving. So when we have leftovers, I like to take these and everybody can just use them to put leftovers in to take home, and then you're not searching around for butter bowls or plastic containers or worried about getting your Tupperware back. So I had these and I pulled this one out and I had sprayed it good, and I thought that I'd put this meatloaf in it and then freeze it in that. So I have never made a meatloaf and froze it and then thawed it out and cooked it. So we'll see how this works out. Stay tuned. In the coming weeks, we'll pull this meatloaf out and we'll eat it. But I really don't make mine in a loaf anyway. I usually put it in like a square casserole dish because that's just how I like mine. I like it spread out a little thinner. But look how clean my stove was. My plastic bag worked. I just pressed it down in there. It fit perfect. I don't really know what size that is, but it's the ones that come 4 to a pack at the Dollar Tree. And it just fit perfect. Then I thought I probably should put some wax paper under that lid. I didn't know if that little paper lid would stick or something. So I just laid some wax paper over it, and then I put the lid on and started crimping up, the sides. I realized this was not, airtight, so I did grab me a little gallon size Ziploc bag, and I just put that whole little container down inside of it. And I wrote on there, what it was and what to cook it at, just in the date, so that if anybody seen it, they'd know what it was. Then I had pretty much that whole can of tomato sauce left. So I thought, heck, I'll just freeze it too. So I just grabbed me a quart-size bag, wrote on it, and I stuck that in the freezer flat. So when I go to make my meatloaf, I'll lay that tomato sauce out and I can make a topping and whatever else with it. Guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this week's meals and just this little random tidbit here at the end. It's been a pleasure to share them with you. I appreciate so much all of you all that watched last week's video and left a comment. Our winner is Michelle Davies. So Michelle, if you would please contact me, I'll have my email or my Instagram handle linked in my description box. Be sure and send me a message. Get in touch with me so I can get your address and send you out your prize pack and your Amazon card. Do not forget that today's video is a collaboration with my friend Valerie. Be sure and go down and check her video out. Guys, thank you so much again for spending time with me. And until next week, I send you love from my kitchen.